Hi, welcome to Elkin Gospel. The purpose of this video is to talk about 1 John 2:15. I'll read the verse and then we can talk about it. Do not love the world or the things in the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world is the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, which is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world is passing away, and the lust of it. But he who does the will of God abides forever. Yeah, that's it. The lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life are a common sermon that you will experience if you grew up in the church. For those of you who haven't grown up in the church, let me just quickly explain what it is. So the lust of the flesh are bodily desires. These are things like hunger or sexual needs or stuff like that. The lust of the eyes are stuff that you look at and covet, so things that you desire. And the pride of life is the desire to be equal or greater than God. It's interesting that these temptations were used both in Jesus Christ in the wilderness, but also in the Garden of Eden with the temptation of Eve. So if you look at Luke 4:3, 4:6, and 4:9, which is the temptations of Jesus Christ in the wilderness, for those of you who don't know the story, Jesus Christ is fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, and Satan, this is a fallen angel, this is God's enemy, comes and tempts Jesus Christ. And he tempts him initially with the lust of the flesh. He says, use your power to turn the stone into bread. And the idea was to fulfill Christ's physical needs. The second temptation, Luke 4:6, shows a temptation where Satan offers the kingdoms of the world. And he says, I'll give this to you if you would but bow down and worship me. And this, again, was something that you see and something that you would desire. And then the pride of life was used in the temptation where Jesus Christ was, tempted to throw himself off the pinnacle of the temple and have his angels carry him down safely for all of man to see. And this, of course, would display a supernatural power and divinity so that man would worship Jesus. Now, obviously, Jesus Christ is divine, and obviously he deserves to be worshipped. But the idea was that Christ would be using his power not for his Father's glory, but for his own glory. And it would be something outside of God's will. Primarily, Christ did use his powers for healing, which was a confirmation of his witness for the repentance of sin. So that's kind of interesting. In regards to the Garden of Eden temptation, Eve was initially tempted with the fruit, right? And the fruit was good for eating. So this was the flesh, the temptation of the flesh. It was a delight to her eyes. This would be covetousness. And then it would make her wise. And the idea, if you listen to the serpent in Genesis 3:4-5, he says, "You will surely not die, for God knows in the day that you eat of it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." So Satan's temptation of Eve was that she would be like God, that she would be equal or greater than God. If you go back to 1 John 2:15, the idea is that the world is filled with this type of system. And the world is used many times in the Bible. For example, Jesus Christ came to save the world, right? But that has to do with the population of people. Other times in the Bible, the world is used to describe a sinful system, okay? So do not love the world. This doesn't mean do not love people. This means don't love the things of the world. For example, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And, if you look at human history, it has been a pursuit of materialism and greed and power. And people are constantly chasing the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life. And the verse is saying that this is not of the Father. This isn't from God. This is from the world. And the world is passing. These pleasures are passing. There's a very interesting verse in Hebrews that has to do with Moses, where it says that, he esteemed the reproaches of Christ rather than the passing pleasures in Egypt. No, is that how it goes? I'd have to. I'll make the verse show here. But it's something like that, where Moses chose to follow the people of God rather than the passing pleasures in Egypt, the passing pleasures of sin. And I thought that was very interesting. But I just want to encourage you today that, life is short. and to keep an eternal focus, to keep your focus on Jesus Christ while you go through this life, and not be consumed with the passing pleasures, with the vain pursuits of life, but to esteem the reproaches of Christ like Moses did, and just treasure eternal things rather than ephemeral things. Okay? Thank you. Hi, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about Bible verses, Bible doctrine, or the Christian walk, please write so in the comment section below, and perhaps I can make a video about it. Also, if you're interested in supporting this channel, here is a list by which you can do that. Have a great day. Thank you.